Okay, get ready to be dazzled, because today we're diving into the world of gemstones. But not the sparkling, beautiful kind. We're going deep into the dark side. Gem scams.
Yeah, it's a fascinating area, really, where that mesmerizing gem could actually be a cleverly disguised fake.
Oh, I know. I've always been fascinated by those stories of people getting tricked into buying worthless stones thinking they found a treasure.
It's true, these scams can be incredibly elaborate. They really prey on people's fascination with precious stones and that allure of a good deal.
And what's crazy is that scammers are using some pretty advanced technology these days to create fakes that are almost impossible to distinguish from the real thing.
Hmm.
Like, how do they even do that?
Well, one method is actually by growing the gems in a lab. But I mean, it's not like some backyard experiment or anything.
Right.
These are highly sophisticated labs that can replicate the intense heat and pressure found deep within the earth, where natural gemstones form over millions of years.
Yeah.
And the result is, well, lab-grown gems that can have the same chemical composition, optical properties, and even inclusions as their natural counterparts.
Wow. So they're basically fast-forwarding millions of years of geological processes.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's incredible. But how can you tell the difference? Is there like a secret code or something?
Well, there are a few telltale signs that experts look for.
Okay.
For example, lab-grown gems might have subtle growth patterns or inclusions that are, well, different from those found in natural stones. And sometimes the color can be too perfect
Oh,
or
interesting.
too intense, which is a sign that it's been artificially enhanced.
So it's like comparing a perfectly smooth factory-made apple to one that's grown naturally on a tree, right? You can usually spot those subtle imperfections that give away its origin.
That's a great analogy. And the key is having a trained eye and the right tools, of course. Gemologists use microscopes, spectroscopes, and other fancy gadgets to analyze a gem's internal structure, light absorption, and other properties to determine its authenticity.
Okay, so lab-grown gems are one thing. But what about those outright fakes? The ones that are basically just fancy glass or some other material pretending to be a precious gem.
Ah, yes, those are out there too. And they can be incredibly convincing to the untrained eye. One common tactic is using materials like cubic zirconia or synthetic spinel, which can mimic the sparkle and brilliance of diamonds. They might even coat these materials with a thin layer of a real gemstone to
Wow.
make them even more deceptive.
So they're putting lipstick on a pig, so to speak.
You could say that it's all about creating an illusion to fool the buyer, at least temporarily.
So what are some of the scams these crooks pull using these fake or lab-grown gems? Like, let's say I'm a tourist walking through a bustling market, totally mesmerized by all those glittering displays. What kind of traps should I be watching out for?
Well, one classic scenario is the too good to be true deal.
Okay.
You stumble upon a vendor selling what appear to be stunning gemstones at ridiculously low prices. They might even tell you some sob story about needing to sell quickly or having a special connection to a mine.
Oh, I can totally see myself falling for that,
Yeah.
especially if I'm all caught up in the excitement of being in a new place, eager to snag a bargain.
It's a common trap. And the scammer relies on your lack of knowledge and that allure of a steal. But, high-quality gemstones, especially rare ones, they come with a hefty price tag for a reason.
So if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Good rule of thumb for just about anything in life, I guess.
Absolutely. Another common scam is using misleading language or terminology. They might describe a lab-grown gem as natural or use terms like genuine or precious to create a false sense of value.
So it's like calling a cubic zirconia a genuine diamond simulant. Technically, it's not a lie, but it's definitely misleading.
Exactly. They're playing with words to create that illusion of authenticity. And sometimes they'll even go so far as providing fake certificates or altered certifications, I should say.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they might present you with a document that looks official but is actually worthless.
So, okay, let's say I'm aware of those tricks.
Yeah.
What else should I be on the lookout for? Like, what are some telltale signs that a seller might not be legit?
One thing to watch out for is high-pressure sales tactics.
Okay, yeah.
If a seller is being overly pushy, rushing you into a decision or making you feel uncomfortable, that's a huge red flag. Legitimate sellers will give you time and space to consider your purchase and answer any questions you might have.
Right, it's like those timeshare presentations where they try to lock you in a room and pressure you into signing on the dotted line.
Yeah,
You want to feel like you're in control of the situation, not being manipulated.
exactly. A trustworthy seller will be patient, transparent, and willing to educate you about the gemstones they're selling.
Yeah.
They'll want you to feel confident and informed about your purchase.
So it's about building a relationship of trust, not just making a quick sale.
Exactly.
Okay, what else? What about the whole certification thing? How can I tell if a certificate is genuine?
That's a great question, and a crucial one. Legitimate gemstones are often accompanied by certifications from reputable gemological laboratories, like the Gemological Institute of America, GIA, or the American Gem Society, AGS. These labs have rigorous standards for evaluating and grading gemstones, so their certifications carry a lot of weight.
So if a seller pulls out a certificate, it's not enough to just glance at it and assume it's legit?
No, not at all. Those certificates can be forged or altered.
Right.
So it's crucial to verify their authenticity. You can usually do this by contacting the issuing lab directly, either by phone or through their website. They'll have a database of all the certificates they've issued, so you can cross-check the details and make sure it's the real deal.
Oh, that's incredibly helpful. So it's like checking the VIN number on a used car to make sure it hasn't been stolen or tampered with.
Exactly. It's an extra step, but it can save you a lot of heartache and money in the long run.
Okay, this is all great information, but it's starting to make me feel a little paranoid, honestly. Are there any reputable places to buy gemstones where I don't have to worry about getting scammed?
Of course. There are plenty of trustworthy jewelers and gem dealers out there. The key is to do your research. Look for businesses that have been around for a while, have positive customer reviews, and are members of professional organizations like the American Gem Trade Association, AGTA, or the Jewelers of America, JA.
So it's about finding businesses that have a reputation to uphold and are accountable to industry standards.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to ask for references or recommendations from friends or family who have purchased gemstones before. Word of mouth can be a valuable resource.
That makes sense. So it's all about being an informed and savvy consumer.
Exactly. And remember, when it comes to gemstones, knowledge is power.
Okay, so we've talked about how to spot those too good to be true deals and misleading sales tactics. But I'm curious, how do these scammers actually manage to pull off the classic switcheroo? You know, where you think you're buying a genuine gem, but they swap it out for a fake right in your nose?
The infamous gem switch. It's a combination of sleight of hand, distraction, and a whole lot of audacity.
Right.
One common technique involves showing you a genuine, high-quality gemstone, often loose, to pique your interest. Then, while they're supposedly preparing it for mounting or packaging, they cleverly swap it with a lower quality or fake stone that looks similar.
Wait, hold on. So they're basically performing a magic trick right in front of me, hoping I'll be too dazzled to notice.
It's a bit like that, yeah. They might use distractions, like dropping something, or engaging you in conversation, to divert your attention while they make the switch. And they often rely on the fact that most people aren't trained gemologists and might not notice the subtle differences between the real gem and the fake.
Wow, that's seriously sneaky. It makes you wonder how many people have fallen victim to this and don't even realize it.
It's hard to say for sure, but it's definitely a widespread tactic, especially in tourist areas, where people are often more trusting and less familiar with the local market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how can you protect yourself from falling victim to the switcheroo? Is it even possible?
Absolutely. The key is to be vigilant and aware of the potential for trickery. First and foremost, never let the gemstone out of your sight.
Okay.
From the moment you first see it to the final transaction, keep your eyes on the prize, literally.
Okay, so no bathroom breaks. Or checking my phone while they're preparing the gem. Got it. What else?
If possible, have a trusted friend or family member accompany you, someone who can act as a second set of eyes and help you stay focused. And if you're ever unsure about a gem or a seller, don't hesitate to walk away. There's no shame in being cautious, and it's better to miss out on a potential deal than to risk getting scammed.
That's excellent advice. Trust your gut. And don't let the pressure of the moment cloud your judgment.
Exactly. And remember, if you do decide to purchase a gemstone, always insist on receiving a detailed receipt that clearly describes the gem's characteristics,
Right.
including its weight, cut, color, and clarity.
So if there's ever a dispute or question about the gem later on, you have a paper trail to back you up.
Precisely. It's all about protecting yourself and making sure you're getting what you paid for.
Okay, so we've covered the basics of how gem scams work, but I'm dying to hear about some real-life examples. You mentioned earlier that Bangkok is kind of a hotbed for these schemes. Can you tell us more about what's going there?
Yes, Bangkok has unfortunately gained a bit of a notorious reputation for these elaborate gem scams that often target tourists. We'll delve into the specifics of those schemes in part 2, but let me just say they involve a whole network of players and can be incredibly convincing.
Wow, that's a cliffhanger. I can't wait to hear more about that in the next part.
It's a wild ride, that's for sure. We'll uncover the tricks they use, the psychology behind their tactics, and how these scams have managed to persist for so long.
Okay, I'm officially hooked. But before we move on to those juicy details, I think it's important to give our listeners some practical advice on how to spot these scams before they become victims themselves.
Absolutely. Recognizing the red flags is crucial, and we'll dive into those right after. Well, we'll dive into those next time.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more insights into the dazzling, deceptive world of gem scams.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Before we went to break, we were talking about Bangkok's reputation as a gem scam hotspot, and I'm eager to kind of unpack that a little more. What makes this city such a fertile ground for these elaborate schemes?
Well, Bangkok has long been a major hub for the gem trade with a rich history and a bustling market. But unfortunately, this attracts both legitimate businesses and, well, those looking to exploit the system.
Right.
So over the years, a network of scammers has kind of established itself, often preying on unsuspecting tourists, drawn to the allure of exotic gemstones and that promise of a bargain.
Yeah, it's like a shadow market operating right alongside the legitimate one, playing on those same desires for beauty and value.
Exactly. And these scammers are masters of deception, truly. They often operate in well-organized groups, with each member playing a specific role in the con. There might be like a spotter who identifies potential targets, often tourists who seem lost or overwhelmed by the bustling market. Then there's the friendly local who befriends the target, offering, helpful advice and unsolicited guidance.
So it starts with creating a sense of trust and familiarity. Making the tourists feel like they found a genuine friend in a foreign land.
Precisely. They might even share personal stories or offer to take the tourists to a secret market or a wholesale market where they can supposedly get incredible deals.
Oh, wow.
Of course, this market is all part of the scam, a carefully staged setting designed to further that illusion.
So they're not just selling gemstones, they're selling an entire experience.
Exactly. They're creating a narrative, that plays on the tourist's sense of adventure and the thrill of discovering hidden treasures. And once the tourist is hooked, they're introduced to the expert. This charismatic, seemingly knowledgeable gem dealer who dazzles them with impressive displays and tales of rare and valuable stones.
Oh, I can picture it now. Dimly lit shops filled with glittering gems, whispers of exclusive connections, and the promise of owning a piece of exotic beauty. It's like stepping into a scene from a movie.
That's exactly the atmosphere they create. It's all about seduction and manipulation. They might even stage a bidding war with other customers to create a sense of urgency and competition, further pressuring the tourist into making a purchase.
So it's a carefully choreographed performance designed to overwhelm the senses and kind of cloud judgment.
It's a psychological game, and they're very good at it. And by the time the tourist realizes they've been scammed, the group has vanished, leaving them with, well, a worthless piece of glass or a low-quality gem that's nowhere near the value they paid for it.
That's heartbreaking. It's not just the financial loss. It's the betrayal of trust, the feeling of being foolish.
Absolutely. It can really taint someone's travel experience and leave them with a sense of vulnerability and distrust.
So you mentioned earlier that these scams have managed to persist for years, even decades. Why is that? What makes them so difficult to crack down on?
Well, there are a few factors at play here. First, the sheer volume of tourists coming through Bangkok,
Right.
It makes it difficult to track these scams and identify the perpetrators. The scammers are often transient, moving from place to place, and they're very skilled at blending in with the crowds.
So it's like trying to catch smoke. By the time the authorities get wind of a scam, the perpetrators have vanished.
Exactly. And even if they are caught, the penalties are often relatively light, which doesn't act as a strong deterrent. There have also been allegations of corruption, with some officials turning a blind eye to these scams in exchange for bribes or kickbacks.
Wow, that's disturbing. It suggests a deeper systemic issue that's enabling these scams to thrive.
Yeah, it's a complex problem and there's no easy solution, but awareness is a powerful tool. By educating tourists about these scams and teaching them how to recognize the red flags, we can empower them to protect themselves.
That's where resources like the deep dive come in, right? We're giving people the knowledge they need to be savvy consumers and make informed choices.
Exactly. It's about leveling the playing field. and ensuring that people can enjoy the beauty of gemstones without falling victim to these deceitful practices.
All right, so let's talk about those red flags. We've touched on a few already, like the too good to be true deals and the high pressure sales tactics. What are some other warning signs that should send alarm bells ringing?
Well, one big red flag is the lack of transparency. If a seller is being evasive about the gem's origin or its specific characteristics or the certification process, that's a major warning sign. Legitimate dealers are proud of their products and happy to provide detailed information and documentation.
So if they're being cagey about the details or trying to rush you through the transaction, that's a sign to just walk away.
Absolutely. Another red flag is the setting. As we've discussed, these scams often take place in makeshift markets or shops that are, well, specifically designed to lure tourists. They might seem exotic and alluring, but they lack the credibility and accountability of established businesses.
So it's about looking beyond the surface and considering the context. A stunning gemstone offered in a dimly lit alley might not be all that it seems.
Exactly. And remember, if a deal feels too good to be true, it probably is. Trust your instincts and don't let the allure of a bargain cloud your judgment.
Okay, so let's say I'm in a situation where I'm being pressured to buy a gemstone, but I'm not sure if it's legitimate. What can I do?
Well, first and foremost, don't be afraid to say no. You're under no obligation to buy anything, no matter how persuasive the seller might be. If you feel uncomfortable, simply walk away. There are plenty of other places to buy gemstones, and there's no need to risk getting scammed.
Right. That's empowering to hear. Sometimes it's easy to feel trapped in a situation, but remembering that you have the power to walk away is crucial.
Absolutely. And if you're truly interested in the gem but unsure about its authenticity, you can always, ask for a second opinion. Find a reputable gemologist or appraiser who can examine the stone and provide an unbiased assessment.
So it's like getting a second opinion from a doctor. You want to make sure you're getting accurate information before making a major decision.
That's a great analogy. And in some cases, it might even be worth, paying for a professional appraisal, especially if you're considering a significant purchase.
It's like an insurance policy for your investment. The cost of an appraisal is far less than the potential loss you could incur from buying a fake or overpriced gem.
Precisely. And remember, knowledge is your best defense against these scams. The more you learn about gemstones, the better equipped you'll be to spot the red flags and make informed choices.
So it's not just about being cautious. It's about being curious and seeking out reliable information.
Exactly. And there are some fantastic resources available, online in libraries, from educational materials provided by gemological institutes to forums and communities where you can connect with other gem enthusiasts and learn from their experiences.
That's great to know. So we've talked about how to spot gem scams in person, but what about online? With the rise of e-commerce, it seems like these scams have kind of gone digital as well. What are some of the challenges and red flags we should be aware of when buying gemstones online?
That's a great question, and it's a whole other world of potential pitfalls. We'll dive into the specifics of online gem scams in the next part, but for now, let me just say it's crucial to be just as vigilant online as you would be offline.
Oh, I have a feeling this is going to be a wild ride through the digital minefield of gem scams. I'm ready to navigate it with you. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been, exploring the world of gem scams, and now we're moving into the online realm, where these schemes have gone digital. It's like a whole new landscape, of sparkling opportunities and potential pitfalls.
Yeah, for sure. The internet has opened up a vast marketplace for gemstones,
Yeah.
connecting buyers and sellers from all over the world. But it's also created, new avenues for scammers to operate, often with even more anonymity and sophistication.
It's like those phishing emails that try to trick you into clicking on a link. Right?
Yeah.
Looks legitimate, but leads you to some shady website. Except in this case, it's not your bank account they're after. It's your desire for that dazzling gemstone.
Exactly. And these digital scammers are masters of disguise. They can create websites that look incredibly professional, complete with glowing testimonials, impressive certifications, and stunning photographs. But behind that polished facade, there might be nothing more than a virtual storefront selling fake or overpriced gems.
So it's all about creating an illusion of legitimacy and trust. just like those elaborate schemes we discussed in Bangkok.
Precisely. And the anonymity of the internet makes it even easier for them to hide their tracks
Yeah.
and disappear after they've made a sale.
Right. So let's talk about some specific tactics that online gem scammers use. What are some of the red flags we should be watching out for when we're, browsing those tempting online listings?
Well, one of the first things to consider is the website itself. Does it look professional, credible?
Right.
Check for things like, secure payment options, a clear return policy, and contact information that includes a physical address and a phone number.
Yeah, it's like checking the storefront before you walk into a brick and mortar shop. You want to make sure it looks legitimate,
No,
trustworthy.
exactly. And don't be fooled by, fancy domain names or flashy web designs. Scammers can easily purchase these things to create a veneer of authenticity. It's the substance behind the surface that matters.
So what about online reviews? Are those a reliable indicator of a seller's legitimacy?
Well, they can be, but it's important to be discerning. Look for reviews on independent platforms, not just those hosted on the seller's website, and pay attention to the details. Do the reviews sound, genuine, specific, or do they seem vague and overly positive?
Yeah, it's like those suspiciously glowing reviews on a product that seems, too good to be true. You have to wonder if they're actually from real customers or just, planted by the seller.
Exactly. Another red flag is the price. As we've discussed before, if a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. High-quality gemstones, especially rare ones, come with a certain price tag. If you see a gem being offered at a significantly lower price than what other, reputable sellers are asking, that's a major warning sign.
So it's about doing your research and comparing prices across different platforms.
Yeah.
Don't just jump at that first bargain you see.
Exactly. And speaking of research, it's crucial to investigate the seller themselves. Look for their business history, credentials, any affiliations with professional organizations like the American Gem Trade Association, AGTA, or the Jewelers of America, JA. You can also, check for customer reviews on independent websites like the Better Business Bureau.
So it's like doing a background check on the seller before you hand over your credit card information.
Precisely. And don't hesitate to contact the seller directly with any questions you might have. A legitimate seller will be happy to provide detailed information about the gemstone, its origin, its certification.
So it's about, establishing a dialogue and feeling comfortable with the transaction before you commit.
Absolutely. And remember, if a seller is being evasive, pushy, or seems reluctant to answer your questions, that's a big red flag. Trust your instincts and walk away.
Okay, so let's say you found an online seller that seems legit. They have a professional website, positive reviews, and are transparent about their business practices. What about those certifications? How can you be sure they're genuine when you're buying online?
That's a great question, and it's a crucial one. As we discussed earlier, reputable gemological laboratories like the GIA and AGS, they issue certifications that provide detailed information about a gemstone's characteristics, but those certifications can be forged or altered, so it's crucial to verify their authenticity.
So how do you do that when you're dealing with an online seller?
Well, most reputable labs have websites where you can enter the certificate number and verify its authenticity. You can also contact the lab directly by phone or email to confirm the details of the certification.
There's like double checking the receipt to make sure it matches the purchase.
Exactly. And if a seller is reluctant to provide a certificate or makes it difficult to verify its authenticity, that's a major red flag.
Okay, so we've talked about the website, the seller, the price, and the certifications. Is there anything else we should be mindful of when buying gemstones online?
Yes, it's important to be aware of the photographs. Gemstones can be photographed in ways that enhance their color, clarity, and brilliance. So don't be swayed by, overly polished or stylized images. Ask for, additional photographs taken in different lighting conditions, or request a video of the gemstone to get a more realistic sense of its appearance.
So it's like looking beyond those airbrushed magazine covers, right? to see the real person underneath.
Exactly. And remember, if you have any doubts or concerns, it's always best to err on the side of caution. Seek out a second opinion from a trusted gemologist or appraiser before making a significant purchase.
That's excellent advice. It's like having a gemstone guardian angel watching over your shoulder, guiding you towards those sparkling, genuine gems.
I like that. And remember, the world of gemstones is filled with beauty and wonder. By being informed and vigilant, we can navigate this sometimes treacherous terrain and emerge with treasures that will bring us joy for years to come.
That's a beautiful way to put it. So as we wrap up this deep dive into gem scams, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I would say it's this: knowledge is power. The more you learn about gemstones, the better equipped you'll be to spot those scams and make informed choices. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Seek out expert advice
Yeah.
and trust your instincts.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thank you for joining us on this sparkling journey through the world of gem scams.
It's been my pleasure. May all your future gem purchases be dazzling in all the right ways.
Stay curious, stay informed, and stay sparkling.